Hey everybody, welcome back to Contest Prep University. Joe Klemczewski with Adam Atkinson, episode 2 in our series on diet methodology. And we're going to take that ketogenic, low carb generalization from episode 1 and turn it into a couple specific diets, at least by name, that use those principles, specifically paleo and carnivore. And I've always told people, outside of the obvious that we talked about in episode 1 with the problems due to a zero or very, very low carb diet, if you just modify that a little bit and you move over into the paleo column where you can eat some whole food carbohydrate, you can have some fruit, you can have some, ground-based or whole food-based carbohydrate sources, you're really doing a great job. It's just a higher protein, moderate fat, moderate but healthy carb version. It's almost like a land-based Mediterranean diet. So I'm curious what you think about paleo, and then I guess carnivore kind of goes in the opposite direction of what I'm describing, but we can talk about that one next.
Yeah, these can be used in autoimmune cases as well. That's where I would lightly, kind of find its context for me. But I usually I usually don't say it's paleo. The foods we're using just typically fall under that microscope of being being used. I guess I'm really careful with my clients on what terminology I use, because then, they become the paleo junkie online on Instagram and said this worked for me. Those people are going to get weak and have some things that are non-paleo and probably battle some excessive inflammation, even at the cost of having a lifelong, autoimmune that they're managing. They're still human and they want to have foods that aren't paleo. So, but I think for an overall health benefit, just like going off of the keto, we had talked about how, less processed foods is a great thing for overall health. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but is it really realistic to stick to for the long term? And I would say this is one of those things where it goes too far. It could maybe be, maybe mentally bad, just like any other diet, but I think especially that one.
Yeah, a lot of the CrossFit crowd originally used paleo as just their version of keto, and it was still like no carb, no carb, no carb. But if you truly look at paleo, as you mentioned, get rid of processed foods and so forth, most of us eating well get pretty close to that. I mean, if you're really careful and you're aligned with your own health values, of course, when we get to the end and talk about flexible dieting, we know people can bastardize that and just make it a shit show of eating just bad food. But you know, putting that little twist over into the carnivore column, there are some celebrity YouTubers who do this. And I mean, in my understanding, maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, it's just meat. It's like paleo, but without the fruits and the vegetables, and it's just, eat 4 pounds of steak a day, and that's the carnivore diet, as if you were a lion or something. Probably not my favorite, of course, by far, because of the obvious advantage of having some carbohydrate in your diet for many reasons. But what did you ever even hear people kind of trying to bring that into your world as a client?
Very rarely, I just don't hear it too often. But to my understanding, if you sell a line of supplements along with it, you become the next liver king.
There you go. Yeah, really, really good point. It took me by surprise for a second there, because I don't even think those people can do it that well or that long. Every single person that tries to be that restrictive, they always invariably tell me, okay, that's how I eat until I kind of need a cheat day. And then it's, 24 donuts or something like that. And then I get back on track. If your diet methodology pushes you that far into a corner, something's wrong. I mean, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the health detriments of something like pure carnivore. But again, as a tool, once in a while, when you're trying to maybe flush out those cravings for carbs and so forth, and you just want to get them out of your diet as a little bit of a purging, capacity, then, maybe that's okay for a while, a short stint of time.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time in Contest Prep University. We're going to turn now toward the lower fat, more balanced, and even flexible dieting approaches. See you next time in Contest Prep University.